Anyway, made quite a bit of progress, but didn't have anything scheduled this morning. But we're about to do our final pretrial before jury, and we got counsel here. So we didn't do anything this morning. I'll give you today's first line shared moment of humanity here briefly. Well, when you're sitting there in your silk upholstered chair talking to some rich folks that you know, well, I hope you won't see me in your ragged company. Well, you know, I could never be alone. So Mr. Gabriel is here helping us with our felony cases. And you're sitting there in your silk upholstered chair. Some of you will know it, some of you won't. It's another 55-year-old song. And listen to it. Pretty dark song. All right, let's go on the record. All right, our first matter is an ordinance case. Marcus Xavier Ringler. Good afternoon, Mr. Ringler.
Good afternoon.
He's here with his lawyer, Ms. Jordan Harden. There are a couple of different cases here. There is file 252706, which is operating without a license from December 29th. That's under, I believe it's Sturgis ordinance. Accompanying that is a speeding ticket, 40 and a 30, 1229. Then we have an operating without a license from January 30th, also Sturgis, and that's set for today also. And then we also have a failed to display a valid license from this October 11th of 2025. So there are 5 separate cases from 3 separate dates. Mr. George is here on behalf of the city, and Ms. Harden is here on behalf of the defendant. Mr. George, what's the status here?
Your Honor, we had offered Mr. Ringler 1 count of no valid ops, and we would also change the speeding ticket to impeding traffic and then dismiss the other no valid ops charge.
Oh, well, that's a pretty good deal. No valid ops, Mr. Ringler, is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $100. You do have some unpaid stuff.
He does have a payment plan set up. His first payment is set to tomorrow, to come out tomorrow. So okay. He does have that taken care of.
So as I understand it, the plea would be to 1 count of no valid ops, dismiss 2 counts, speeding, reduced to impede traffic. The speeding charge you're charged with carries 2 points, and it would go on your driving record. Impeding traffic carries no points. It's a civil infraction. It's punishable by a $100 fine. No valid operator's license is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 90 days in jail, fine of up to $100, but it does carry 2 points. Ms. Harden, what does your client wish to do?
Thank you, Your Honor. We were here last month for a last pretrial. At that time, my client advised that he is now once again a resident of the state of Indiana. That is where his license is from. In the state of Indiana, it's my understanding that you can qualify for a SR22 license with the approval and coverage of an insurance provider. He was working with an insurance company. We'd asked for the adjournment to get that straightened out. He has learned that that insurance company will not provide coverage for him, so he does have a backup plan to explore another coverage option. At this point, we'd ask that the matter be left on trial docket, give him some additional time to see if he's able to secure that special license in the hopes of maybe a resolution that would not place points on his license. However, if we do not get to that point, it's my understanding this case will resolve without the need for trial.
Well, right now, the posture it's in is a very generous plea offer. You drove 3 separate times without a valid license, once in October, once in December, and once in January. So it wasn't any shock to you that you didn't have a valid license. Then you had a couple of other traffic matters and you got some unpaid stuff. But we'll set it on the jury docket. We're a little bit wonky because we're moving.
And Your Honor, it'd be my hope that we would know what direction we're taking in the next few weeks and get a plea date set.
All right, I'm gonna set it on the jury docket for June 10th. That ought to be enough time to,
That would be more than sufficient.
Move it.
Thank you.
yeah, at one point I thought you were gonna move back to Michigan. So now the plan is you're just gonna stay in Indiana.
So I had originally moved to Michigan, hence why I'd gotten everything in Michigan. But I moved back to Indiana because we lost our place to stay.
So you're still in Wolcottville?
He does have employment. He's got a ride to that employment. He got a ride here today. So he has been doing everything he needs to do thus far.
That's good advice. Don't get another one of these. It'll unscramble everything you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So suck it up, don't drive. Hopefully we won't use a jury day for this, but I've got it set for June 10th at 8:30 as a target date.
I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks we'll have a
All right.
response to the court on how we're proceeding, Your Honor.
All right, that should be enough time to do it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Harden.
Thank you,
Thank
Your Honor.
Luke, what do you have for me?
Mr. Shook is in the gallery.
All right, let's take up his matter. People versus Roger Dale Shook. Abby was in here. She just stepped out. Mr. Michelson, it's good to see you. You got a tie on? I was afraid that you weren't gonna come, so I'm glad you're here and hope we can get your case resolved. What's the status here, Luke?
Trial, Judge.
All right. This is an assault and battery. We had a tentative, I think, I'm not sure what the offer was at the last pretrial. Was there, Abby, was there an offer in this one? This is Roger Shook.
No, Your Honor, it's as charged.
That's what I recall. All right. I thought maybe that would be where we end up in this. Mr. Shook, I think you're the only customer here today that doesn't owe any money to the court. So it is a good thing. But you don't want this assault and battery on your record. The allegation is that you punched this guy. No, it's Jacqueline. All right. I don't really want to put it on for June 10th because I got 5 cases on there. And I got June 24th full of cases too. That's why I didn't have, I wanted to resolve our cases before we start to try to do the circuit court cases. Yeesh. Luke, you're on for March 10th or for June 10th, so I'll schedule this for jury trial for June 10th.
Very good. If Mr. Shook intends to relocate to Tennessee, he's going to provide me an updated address just to make the court aware
All
of
right,
his.
you have my permission to leave the state, but you have to come back for trial, do you understand?
Mhm.
All right, what kind we have for exhibits? Do we have photographs? Do we have police video, anything like that, Ms. Stoll?
I believe yes to both, Your Honor.
Do we have any medical evidence?
No, I don't think the victim sought treatment.
I'm considering whether or not I want to get that from my end, which is a little unique. But I understand there were some procedures done beforehand
To the complainant?
to defend it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else from the defendant's perspective?
No, Judge.
All right, I'd ask for all the witness and exhibit lists by June 1st. All right, we also have set for that same date, Mark Wittenberg, which is Luke's, Matthew Simon, which is Jordan's, and Jonathan Love, which doesn't look likely to settle. So we'll see how we do as we get closer. All right, Mr. Shook, you've made every court appearance as long as I've known you.
Yes, sir.
You do have my permission to go to Tennessee, but you need to come back. If we can resolve the case, great. If we can't, we can try it before a jury.
Yes, sir.
All right, you're good to go. Jess Michelson and Tiffany Wyrick are present. I'm glad to hear it. Those are Luke's. We also have a pretrial with Ross Truckee on Brody Jack Johnson. We also have some felony status conferences on Brody Jack Johnson. Actually, Paul has one of the Brody Johnson cases and Ross has the other one. I've yet to see Ross. And he also has felony matters. Mr. Gabriel is here to do the circuit court status matters. Jill, the circuit court secretary, is in the background. Mr.
An email from Ross.
Oh,
He's running out of Zoom.
He's in the conference room on something.
Gary's got it.
all right. All right. Well, Mr. Johnson's here if we need him. Let's just go ahead with what we do have. All right. Next up is file number 24175ST, People versus Jess Michelson. File number, as I stated, the charge is no valid operator's license. The allegation is that occurred on January 31st of 2024. This is an old case that's been hanging around. Mr. Michelson, I should know better. We've been talking about this for years. What?
You get it right when you don't look at it.
Well, I know it's Michelson. I mean, Michelson. Oh,
No,
Michelson. Yeah, Michelson. You got some zoning stuff, but no criminal matters or traffic matters that are unpaid. Ms. Stoll, what's the status with this one?
I've offered an impeding traffic. When I look at the defendant's Secretary of State report, it shows that he has a valid permit now.
Very good. You got your license back?
I didn't think I did, but apparently I did.
Well, let's take a look. All right, well, impeding traffic is about as good as it's gonna get. It's a civil infraction. It's punishable by a fine of $100 and doesn't carry any points. Have you discussed that with your client?
Yes,
Mr.
Mayor.
Mossman?
We
Are you willing
intend
to accept that?
Take responsibility, yes, Judge.
All right, very good. Now, with impeding traffic, because it is a civil infraction, you don't plead guilty or not guilty. You simply admit. But for a factual basis, you acknowledge that on that day you were driving a car and you didn't have a valid license.
Because I had my license in my car, that my last car that I had that I took to the scrapyard.
All right.
And didn't have the ID with me.
All right. Let's look here. You were expired. And so it looks like maybe since it was run in December, you got it fixed. All right, well, the fine and cost here is $100. Can you pay that today or do you need time to pay?
it today, but I can pay it.
All
I'll
right.
pay it.
Well, I normally give 30 days. I want you to pay this one because I don't want it to get,
Okay.
I'll give you until the end of the month, April 30th. This is a pretty generous offer, so I hope you pay it and move on with it. It's from 2024. All right, you're good to go. You might as well stop in also and find out about all those zoning fines that are hanging around too. All right, very good. All right, is Miss Wyrick here?
I'm gonna check, Judge.
Paul, have you and Ross talked about Brody Johnson?
I haven't been able to talk with Ross because he's been in that room, so, but it sounds like that Mr. Johnson would, because he has the 2 felony matters, he'd prefer to wait on any kind of plea till he finds out if he can get a package that way division.
Well, I'm all in favor. I think the prosecutor is too, of trying to work out some package we call a global solution.
Sure, I was gonna indicate, Your Honor, obviously, if they want to enter a plea of guilty to this charge, that's fine, can't stop that, but we're not gonna make any offers in district court because I have the felony that we have the bench warrant arraignment on. Apparently, he was just found over yesterday on a meth charge. And I'm looking at charging him with absconding because he's been in the wind since January.
Yeah, he was. I did his arraignment. I just canceled his bond. So you're not ready to have a circuit court resolution yet?
We're working on circuit court judges to resolve things.
Yes, we are. I could handle this one. Did you and Rob talk today?
No, he's been in, I went looking for him.
Well, he's been working hard and we'd like to sit down and we're working on it.
Oh, I know.
And well, I know you know, but make sure we're all right, well, we need to wait till we get everybody, but he probably, well, possibly we could resolve some of these misdemeanor matters. He's been in custody now. Problem is I can't look at the jail roster anymore and see how long they've been in jail. I talked to the sheriff today at lunch. He says, you're gonna like this new system, but I don't know how soon it is we're gonna have access to it. Might be as much as a month.
And how many times have we heard that?
Yeah, well, yeah, Paul showed it to me the other morning out at the bailiff station, and it is pretty nice. It's got pictures and got a lot of information, but they're not even completely up to speed with it yet. I call out to the jail to ask them, they don't know how to use it. So the bailiffs here said, just ask us and we'll help you with it. So one thing, would you check and tell me how much jail credit Brody Jack?
10 days.
10 days? All right.
We've already looked.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I asked them to look earlier.
Okay. I've been doing a little bit of circuit court stuff here and there. I had some civil matters yesterday. I had one offer to do today, but they moved it. And I've done a couple of criminal motions. We've got a guy that Luke is working on, Brees, that thought for, hey, it's an OUIL 5th, that perhaps if it's a sobriety court case, I could take that plea as a felony plea.
Is the court cross?
We're cross sworn.
Okay.
And from time to time, well, in the old days when Judge Welty was here, we did lots of pleas through Judge. We used to take the plea at district court and then send it up for sentence. That's been a long time ago. From time to time, I'll get assigned on a conflict from Judge Stutzman and take it from beginning to end. But yeah, we're all cross sworn. We could all take a plea or do a sentence. Because as you know, we got a lot of cases in the pipeline that we need to keep moving.
Well, it's good to know because
yeah, we wanted to get a sense of what's most high on your priority list. So Ross is in some sort of a hearing in Three Rivers?
He's in the conference room right out here. He's in a Zoom hearing.
In a Zoom hearing somewhere else. Under the category that everything affects everything else, Thursday afternoon cases have always conflicted with final pre-trials. And it's not beneficial for the defendant to have multiple lawyers.
I don't know.
We had tried to work with Mr. Stickley to get away from that, but Mr. Johnson's got a larceny and an assault and battery. Perhaps we could somehow resolve the misdemeanors and then work on the felonies. Jill, if you can hear, we're waiting for Ross before we can move ahead with Mr. Johnson, but it sounds like he may also be charged with absconding.
Okay.
As I recall, he didn't go very far. He just didn't show up. They pulled him over riding his bike. It's like, well, I didn't come.
It is dangerous to ride a bike in this county, Your Honor. I just looked at 2 other cases I issued where bike riders with drugs.
Pulled over on a bike.
They probably didn't have their headlights on. It was nighttime.
We've had several of those. They're riding
Wrong side of the
2
road.
felonies pending, may charge.
This final stretch gets messy fast. Judge Jeffrey Middleton is no longer dealing with a simple scheduling issue. Now the courtroom is juggling missing counsel, multiple pending cases, and a defendant whose misdemeanor trouble is crashing straight into bigger felony problems.
Larry Mack, right? Mack was on a bike.
I remember I had a case in Kalamazoo where it was like a motion to suppress, and it was because the person was riding a bike and they didn't have a light, and they got pulled over, and then they ran.
Should have stayed on his bike. Pedal faster.
At one time, some of the departments had a bike, Sturgis had a bike patrol unit that's faded. It was good for like festival time and crowd control issues. They could get there quickly and see what was going on and call for backup, but I don't think anybody has a bike unit now.
Sheriff have a mounted unit?
They still have,
I know
yeah, they have the
big
horses, they have the mounted, they're mostly ceremonial, but they're all, yeah, they have the four-wheeler. They're all auxiliary. Well,
I just checked with the court here in Three Rivers, and Ross isn't in any hearing.
Ross is not in any hearing?
Not with Three Rivers at all.
So there's not a family court hearing?
No. I just had Savannah check and there wasn't anything.
That's where we.
Here's the legal twist. The court wants a global solution. But that gets harder when new charges, absconding concerns, and multiple attorneys all collide at once. When one case affects another, even a routine hearing can turn into a full-blown strategy battle.
We thought he was. I'm not sure what he's doing. Yeah. We'll see if we can find out.
Okay.
Luke is out looking for his client, Ms. Wyrick. But Gary's here. He's ready to go. You heard what the exchange was. Abigail's here. She's ready to go on the misdemeanors, and the defendant is in the lockup. I can't remember who represents him in the circuit court cases.
I think Rhonda Ives.
Got Ross on one of them, and then Rhonda Ives, it says, at least in an email that I got. Brody Johnson had, I guess, he's got 4 files, two misdemeanors, and then there was 26113 FY, it says Rhonda Ives, and then the other felony, it says Ross.
So we have 3 attorneys.
Great.
And if I charge absconding, Ross will be off.
Yeah, Ross would be a witness.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. So that would mean you probably can't handle the larceny.
Well, that probably, I thought Ross had both cases in circuit court.
No, the newest one is Rhonda.
The new felony, the drug felony, is Rhonda Ives. Ross has felony that he absconded on, 25-25895, which is unlawful driving away in a Yamaha motorcycle.
And this is the bottom line. By the end, the defendant is still in custody, the bond issue is effectively finished, and the court cannot cleanly resolve anything until the felony side catches up. If you want more real courtroom breakdowns, like, share, and subscribe.
I think I canceled this bond.
On the felony, but he still gets to be.
But there's a bench warrant arraignment, but it's like there's not much more to do to him. He's already.
He ain't going anywhere.
He isn't going anywhere.